Hi, my name is Chandra, and today I am making pizzas for the freezer, and I'm making them like kind of personal size so that I can get them out, throw them right in the oven from frozen for my kids mostly. Since these are mostly gonna be for my kids, I'm going to use regular all-purpose flour. And if I'm making this for dinner for all of us, I would use spelt or einkorn, white spelt or white einkorn, because my husband and I do better with that. But the kids are okay with regular wheat flour, and it's less expensive. So that's what I do. I'm going to make this sourdough. So for now, I will just mix it and let it sit, and probably tonight or tomorrow morning, I will make a bunch of pizzas. I think this will make about 8. And these will stack 2 or 3 or 4 at a time in a gallon freezer bag, and I'll stick them in the freezer and they'll be ready to go. It's so easy. Okay, so this is my pizza dough recipe. It is adapted from another recipe that I can also link below. This recipe is on my website, chandraposton.com, but I can put it below too. So it's nice and easy. So first we're gonna start with dry ingredients. I'm gonna double this. Here's my flour. Now I have salt. This is pretty much how I mix all my dough. Start with the dry ingredients, make a well, put the wet in the middle. It just uses less dishes. Water. Starter. That's perfect. And you know, if that hadn't been already going to be empty when I got the right amount, I probably would have used all of it so I could refresh my starter. It's been a little while since I used it, which is fine for this dough. This has plenty of time to sit. And what I feel makes pizza dough, olive oil. I like to get just a little bit into my tablespoon so that when I get the honey, it comes out easier. I do think of pizza dough as a sweeter dough. This takes some honey. You could use sugar or maple syrup, or you could omit it, really. It's not necessary for the starter. That is going to feed on the flour. Whoa. Oil just makes it fall right out. So that's all of my ingredients. I left my water out because depending on how thick the starter is, I may need more. And also, this is my spelt pizza recipe, but wheat flour can absorb more water than spelt flour. So if it seems a little too dry, I will just add a bit more water. So this way I get the starter really well combined, making the well like this. I get the starter really well combined with the honey and make just a really wet dough in the middle. Then I can start bringing in flour from the edges. And this does seem like it's going to need more water. You know what? I forgot to double the water. That's why this is so dry. Okay, so I already have 60, so I need more, a lot more. I think I doubled everything else. I have a real tendency to do this. Double some ingredients, but not others. Luckily, the water is an obvious one. I think I did double everything else but the starter, but I don't have more starter, and that's totally fine. It'll take longer, or I'll put it in a warm spot, like next to my wood stove. The amount of starter is really kind of inconsequential. Okay, so far I've got 60 grams, so I need 120 more. I had my nice well there, which I've lost now, but that's okay. That's much better. That makes more sense. I like to have a pretty wet dough for pizza because I like the bubbles on the crust. And you get that with a wetter dough. And it'll be more of a thin crust, which we also like. All right, this is looking good now. Let's see, how much do we add? We added another 74 grams. This will be a very shaggy dough at first, and I will let it sit for 30 minutes to an hour. It doesn't really matter. Just to finish absorbing the water fully, and then I will do some stretching and folding throughout the day. There is no rhyme or reason, especially for pizza dough, because it is so thin when you roll it out or stretch it out. But some stretch and folds are nice, especially for those bubbles, which I really like. I don't know why I care, because I'm not gonna eat this. My kids don't even eat crust. But it looks pretty and that makes me happy. Let's clean up, put a lid on this. And I will see you back here in about an hour, maybe half an hour. Okay, it has been about an hour. So this has absorbed all of its water. It has started to organize itself in gluten strands, and I can easily stretch this now. First, I'll get my hands wet. That is very nice dough. And that's it for now. I'll do this a couple more times just as I think of it throughout the day. Hello, it's day 2. This has been in the refrigerator since 8 o'clock last night. It was so nice and bubbly, as you saw. And I actually took it out a couple hours ago, 3 hours ago, to come to temperature again, get warm. And it's just beautiful, big and bubbly, and we're gonna make a lot of pizza. Okay, so what I wanna do is get a bunch of parchment paper. I'm gonna line parchment paper all down this counter. I want this to fit on my trays really well because I will use the trays to freeze the pizzas. first, let's divide this up. Now we're gonna move these. I'll do 2 on each sheet because these are personal size for kids. I think 2 should fit. And I find it's good to have them be sticky because they stick to the paper nicely. It makes it easy to spread them. These might be kind of big. Huh. Okay, here we go. See, when the olive oil gets underneath, it pulls back in because the gluten is activated. So it's kind of like a shortcut to have the oil not get underneath there too much. But I can just come back around when this gluten has relaxed and stretch it out some more. I like a nice thin crust. Sometimes I remember to sprinkle a little salt. Probably doesn't matter too much either way. Next up we have sauce. This is why I decided to do this, because I had to make pizza sauce for somebody who wanted pizza. And I just made a bunch, and then I thought, rather than freeze it, I would just make a bunch of pizzas for the freezer. Now my kids don't like crust, so I try to go as close to the edge as I can. They're still gonna leave an edge. No matter what I do, they will not eat the very edge. Mine. Could be. Last step is cheese. This cheese, whenever we get into a block of mozzarella, I grate the rest of it that we're not going to use and freeze it, and it reconstitutes just fine. I will slide all of these onto baking trays, and then I will use the trays to put the pizzas into the freezer so they can flash freeze, which means they'll freeze on their own, and then I will stack them in bags so that they don't freeze together. Now that these are frozen, I can cut them apart, cut the parchment paper apart, and the nice thing about freezing them right on that parchment paper, I'll keep them on that when I put them in the bags. and then I can bake them right on it when I'm ready to cook them in the oven. I had a request for pizza right away, and this is how it goes when I do it right from frozen. I put it in a 500-degree oven with the rack as low to the bottom of the oven as possible for about 10 to 12 minutes. And they were good because they're not even a week later, there's only 1 or 2 left in the freezer.